All right, so the Copa America started, and we got some weird results. These are my predictions based on the first round and some previous friendlies that everybody in the Copa America had basically against each other. First of all, Group A, Argentina, the favorites to take it, the favorites to take the whole tournament. They won the World Cup. They got the Balón de Oro player, Lionel Messi. And in my eyes, they have the best midfield system that can play together as one. Because Brazil has a great midfield, but they're all over the place, right? And they just won their first game against Canada 2-0 with 2 assists from Messi, but he did miss alone 2 chances. They beat Guatemala 4-1. They beat Ecuador 1-0. They beat El Salvador 3-0 in the previous friendlies going into this tournament, along with Costa Rica, another 3-0. Okay, Canada. Canada lost to Argentina 2-0, but they gave them a fight. Alfonso Davis is great going forward, man. That guy is a tank. He's so damn fast, dude. And he might be going to Real Madrid. Along with that, they have Jonathan David. That's a great forward. They just lost to France 0-0. They did lose to Netherlands 4-0 in Europe, but they have a new head coach. Previous to that, they beat Trinidad and Tobago 2-0, and they lost to Jamaica in Canada 3-2. Along with Canada in this group, you have Peru. Peru, who made the semis in the last two Copa Americas, but they're the oldest team in the Copa America. They beat El Salvador 1-0. They drew Paraguay 0-0. They beat República Dominicana 4-1. And they beat Nicaragua 2-0. And they just tied Chile 0-0. The last one in the group is Chile, who just drew Peru 0-0 in a boring game. The base of Chile either has played or plays in Mexico, Liga MX. Lichnowsky, Davila played for León, Prinahi plays in Russia. They beat Paraguay 3-0. They lost to France 3-2. They beat Albania 3-0, and then they lost to Ecuador by 1. So, who do I have taking this group? It's going to be really tough, I think, from Canada, Peru, and Chile. These three teams are very, very tight. And it's going to be a fine margin that's going to separate these teams. But I'm going to have to take Argentina, obviously, first place. And then we're going to have to take Canada. Canada, because I feel they have the better overall team than Chile and Peru. And they have the one extra better player, like Fonsi. Ecuador, who was coming in previously to the Copa America very, very hot, unfortunately, lost to Venezuela 2-1 due to a stupid red card from Ener Valencia, former Tigres player. They did well. They were actually up, but then Venezuela never gave up and came back. Previous to that Copa America, they beat Honduras 2-1. They beat Bolivia 3-1. They beat Argentina 1-0. And they lost to Italy by a margin of 2 goals to 0. Venezuela. Venezuela is a team that's been playing together for quite some time. I remember a few years back, I don't know exactly when, but they beat the U.S. here in the U.S. con Rondon. Rondon's an amazing player. They beat Ecuador 2-1. They have a strong base of young players and this passion in the field where they don't give up. They did draw to Guatemala 0-0. They lost to Italy 1-2. They drew Peru and they tied Ecuador. Unfortunately. But that doesn't mean they're a bad team. Mexico, the third team in the Group B. They fail me. They're a bad team. They're missing a bunch of players, but those players maybe are this much better than the other players that are here. Okay, you got missing the legs of Ochoa, Henry Martin, Tecatito Corona, Chucky Lozano, Jesus Gallardo, um, Malagón, the portero. So you got a good base of players that are missing. There's some guys you can add on to here like Salcedo, Mateos Doria, maybe Thiago Volpi, but those guys have to be called up. Mexico just got done beating Jamaica 1-0. Mexico was the better team. If I'm not mistaken, there are 9 or 10 of the Jamaican players are not born in Jamaica. Mexico got done losing to Brazil 2-3 with a goal from Endrick in extra time. I think the 94th minute, the last play. That they got killed by Uruguay 4-0. But that Mexico team was like a U23 team that had no reason being on the field. Then the U23 team beat Bolivia 1-0 here in Chicago. And previous to that, in the Nations League, they lost the final to USA 2-0. Jamaica, they lost to Mexico by 1 goal. They did score an offside goal by Michael Antonio from West Ham, but he was offsides, unfortunately. They beat Dominican Republic 1-0. They tied Trinidad and Tobago 0-0 and then beat them 1-0 previous to the Copa America. Who do I have first in this group? We already know that Venezuela beat Ecuador, correct? And then Mexico won their game against Jamaica. We know Ecuador is way better than what they are. It's going to be a very tough decision. But I'm going to go by logic, not by heart. Venezuela is going to beat Mexico either 3-1 or 2-1. Ecuador is going to beat Jamaica. And then Ecuador is going to beat Mexico by a bigger margin than Venezuela did. And it's going to be Ecuador and Venezuela coming out of this group. First, Ecuador. All right, Group C, which has USA, Uruguay, Panama. All right, so USA just got done beating Bolivia 2-0. It should have been by a bigger margin. Bolivia is probably the worst team in the Copa America. All right, so USA beat Mexico in the Nations League 2-0 and they beat Jamaica 3-1. They looked great. And then they came and played Colombia in a friendly, previous to this Copa America, and got destroyed 5-1. 5-1, James Rodriguez had a great game, but before the tournament started and they were going to play Brazil, I said they were going to lose to Brazil 2-1, which they ended up drawing. But we come to find out that Brazil is not the Brazil that we think they are in this Copa America. Colombia is a great, great team. They just beat Bolivia. Bolivia lost to USA 2-0. They lost to Colombia 3-0. They lost to Ecuador 1-3. And they actually beat Andorra 1-0. Which Andorra, I don't know where they place in the world rankings. Uruguay just beat Panama 3-1 in a weird game where Panama actually gave them a fight for quite some time. But Uruguay has a young team where they just continue to attack with Bielsa. They beat Mexico 4-0. They killed them. They tied Costa Rica 0-0 in a game where the actual national team of the 26 players basically wasn't there. Then they lost to Ivory Coast 1-2, and they lost to the Spanish team, Basque County. I mean, they didn't tie, but they drew 1-1 to them. Panama's a very good team. Panama is the fourth team in this group, and I think that Panama is going to give a fight. They did lose to Uruguay 1-3. They lost to Paraguay 1-0. They beat Montserrat 3-1. They did lose to Jamaica by 1 goal, and they beat Guyana 2-0 in the World Cup qualifiers for CONCACAF. First in this group, Uruguay. Second, USA. Third, Panama. And fourth, Bolivia. And we have Group D, which has Colombia, which has Paraguay, Brazil, and Costa Rica. Colombia beat Paraguay 2-1. Uh, Colombia looks solid. They're probably next to Argentina, the most well-rounded teams here that have the best chemistry. So they have a 23 game streak where they haven't lost. They beat Bolivia 3-0. They beat USA 5-1. They beat Spain 1-0. And they beat Romania 3-2. Paraguay did lose to Colombia 1-2, but they beat Panama 1-0. They did lose to Chile 3-0. They drew Peru 0-0, and then previous to that, they did lose to Colombia 1-0. Brazil. They just drew Costa Rica 0-0 in the game they should have won. Ronaldinho came out saying that he was not going to watch this Copa America, nor was he going to support this team because the team is not a Brazilian-esque team anymore. They drew USA 1-1, right? They had to beat Mexico in extra time, 3-2. But before that, they did beat England 1-0, and they drew Spain in Spain 3-3. I don't know what happened after that those European friendlies. They came to the US and the Brazilian team's gone. Costa Rica just had a masterclass against Brazil where they drew them 0-0. It reminds me of the 2014 team that made it out of the group stage. They beat Greece in the quarterfinals to make it to the top 8, where they lost to Netherlands in penalties. They beat Grenada 3-0. They beat St. Kitts and Nevis 4-0. They drew to Uruguay's C team 0-0. And they lost to Argentina 3-1. My predictions: Colombia, Brazil, Costa Rica, and then Paraguay. First of all, making these predictions, I'm not a USA fan. I'm not an Argentina fan. I dislike those teams very much. Not because of the players, but because of the fans. First of all, I have Argentina beating Venezuela 3-1. 3-1. Canada is going to upset Ecuador. Canada is going to click. They're going to click. I think they're going to click and they're going to upset Ecuador and go to the semis. Uruguay is going to beat Brazil in a tough game, 1-0. And then USA is going to upset Colombia. Why do I see that? If they just lost to them 5-1. Because that's a friendly game. People are going to say, oh, well, friendly is this, friendly is that. It's a friendly game, okay? USA has a USA fan base here, and the fans make a difference. And they're going to make the semis. Then I have Argentina beating Canada in a 3-0 match. And then I have Uruguay beating USA 3-1 to make it to the final. And now the final. Who do I think is going to win? And I think Argentina is going to take it easily in a 2-0 win and show the world that they are a team to be reckoned with. They are one of the best teams of all time. Not because of the name of the players, but because of the organization of that team, the team chemistry, and all the team has an extra fight. So back then they used to play for Messi. Now they play around Messi. And that's how I think this Copa America is going to go. Let me know what you think.